Lawyers of Reddit, what is a detail that your client failed to bring up to you that completely lost you the case? Opposing counsel, isn't it true you hit victim in the face with a brick? Client, no. Marcus hit him with the brick. I hit him in the back with a piece of wood. He'd sent a photo of his wife's beaten face to his wife with a message saying something along the lines of this, do you want this to happen again? He came across very well in court up to that point, but his mask slipped when that came out. A buddy of mine case as a public defender. A gal was busted on drug charges and told him she didn't have any drugs on her when they arrested her. He thought, okay, we'll use that. Turns out, she didn't have any drugs on her when they arrested her because she just sold them to an undercover cop. My house was robbed. In addition to all the stuff the thief took, he also stole a bunch of my suits and all of my neckties. I had a big collection, like 100 or so. However, the thief left fingerprints on a hard plastic box that I kept spare change in. Fast forward 3 months, the thief is caught in the act of robbing another house in the same neighborhood. Same detectives on my case on this new theft. They fingerprint the guy and the fingerprints match the ones from my house. At the thief's arraignment, I see him stroll in wearing my suit and my tie. I tell the district attorney. He says there's really no way to prove it. However, the tie he chose to wear was a one-of-kind street map of San Francisco, and I still had all the documentation to prove it. The district attorney's eyes widen, and he informs the judge. The judge has the thief placed under arrest again for possession of stolen property. The thief's lawyer was dumbfounded. It was an I sent to a rough situation. Custody case. Client failed to tell me he was previously seen convicted of felony child abuse for breaking 16 bones in an infant's body. Little late to the party, but here goes, and obligatory not my client. Company I worked for at the time was doing due diligence before acquiring a small tech startup. The COO of the tech startup was a well-liked guy in the company, friendly and outgoing. Though we had heard rumblings that the COO was rather hands-on with the work and with female employees. Apparently there was a walk-away package proposed to the COO that would let him keep a sizable portion of his post-acquisition bonus because a young woman who worked in their sales department had filed our complaints against the COO and obtained counsel. I sat in on the meeting with the COO and the company's retained lawyers while they grilled him about his contacts with the young woman. The COO denied ever having contact with her within the company without multiple other people present. Those people said his behavior toward her in the meetings didn't raise any flags. The COO emphatically denied having any contact with her outside of work. The lawyers asked the question a half dozen different ways and each time the COO denied any out of work contact. Later we meet with the woman and her lawyer with the COO not present. Her lawyer gives us a rather graphic card that came with a bouquet of flowers addressed to her from the COO. The guy had an account with a florist linked to his credit card. When the company retained lawyers confronted him, he said, "But I never had contact with her. It's not like I delivered the flowers myself." COO got terminated for cause, so no walkaway package. At her request the woman was given PTO until after the acquisition, then moved to another one of the companies under our umbrella. Lawyer in the UK. I acted for a member of a famous paedophile hunting group. My client was charged with various offenses relating to his vigilantism, most seriously, causing grievous bodily harm with intent. He wanted me to fight the case on a public interest defense point that is not available to him in statute or at common law contrary to my advice. I followed his instructions as I'm bound to do. If the state won't punish pedophiles properly, then it's left to men like my client to take the law into their own hands. A horseshit argument for a whole host of reasons. His laptop was seized by police and submitted for forensic examination. He had a staggeringly huge database of child pornography on it. He himself was a massive pedo. Edit, spelling. Edit 2, spelling again. Minor traffic cases can be the worst for this, believe it or not, because they are short and simple and oftentimes the client isn't there. So if you get blindsided by something critical, there's often no chance to consult with them to turn things around. I had a simple speeding case, 70 miles per hour in a 55. No big deal. If she does a driving improvement course they will usually dismiss or reduce those, since her driving record wasn't bad. When I showed up for her, I found out that she had been driving 70 up an unplowed snow lane to get around all the others cars traveling in the lane that had been plowed because they were driving too slow. I didn't know it was even possible to drive 70 on fresh snow. The officer stated he'd already cut her a break by not writing the ticket for reckless driving, and the judge politely agreed he didn't feel comfortable reducing it under those circumstances. When I called her up after court to confirm, she claimed she'd just forgotten to mention it. Now maybe I've lived too much of my life in the South, but that just boggles my mind as a detail you'd forget when hiring a lawyer for that incident. I would have told her in advance that hiring us was a waste of money, not to mention the hassle of taking an 8-hour class, and she should probably just go ahead and pay this one. I legitimately do that all the time during consults. Give my honest assessment if the case is even worth doing. And so by omitting that detail she harmed herself for no reason. At least she took it well and didn't get defensive. Friend of mine is a defense attorney. He was representing a guy with a lengthy record for assault. Basically this guy took an AC unit and threw it at his girlfriend. My buddy tells me he was able to get a plea deal for 1 year probation, no jail time. The judge is all ready to accept the deal when he asks the defendant if he had anything he would like to say. The defendant responds, "Yeah, I don't know why they charging me with assault, I never touched her. I just threw an AC at her. This is bullshit." Judge rescinded plea deal because of defendant's attitude, lack of remorse, went to trial and got a year in jail. Client said his ex owed him a lot of money and that she was trying to get out of paying him back by getting a protective order against him. Seemed reasonable, so I took his case. At the hearing it came out that they were never a couple, that he was sending sex toys to her residence on a weekly basis, and that she never asked for the thousands of dollars he gave her over the years. Stripper. We lost. He got laughed out of court and he learned a valuable lesson. Tell your lawyer the good and the bad stuff before trial.